Hey, this is Matt once again, and of course, as soon as I start the video, this microphone fell, but I'll keep it in there anyway. You know what, that makes sense, because this movie might as well just be falling flat on its face. This movie might as well be an epitome of falling on its face, and that's a movie called Atomica. Now, this is a request from Dan, thank you so much, it's a paid request. For those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos or commentaries or reviews or news, reactions, whatever, feel free to send either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Pretty much anything. And Atomica, not Atomic Blonde, this is Atomica. Even Atomic Blonde is better than this movie. This movie is a sci-fi SYFY channel flick. So you already know you're in trouble. The effects are very low budget. It looks cheap as hell. For the most part, there's 3 people in the film. It takes place in the future where nuclear energy is abundant and that somehow it's now been turned to clean energy. And so you have this lady, her name is Abby. She's a safety inspector. She is given the assignment to go to this remote power plant in the desert because communications are offline and she has to bring it back online. She lands there. She gets out. Her fucking suit, radiation suit, whatever the hell, it's like a fucking motorcycle. It's like a motorcycle helmet, for fuck's sake. And to be honest with the story that's told, this did not need to be a sci-fi film. This did not need to take place in the future. I mean, this is stuff that, hell, even the China Syndrome or back to the, yeah, I mean, the TV show Chernobyl. I mean, it's pretty much, I'll get to that in a minute. I'm getting ahead of myself. The 3 actors, you have Sarah Hable as Abby. She meets this guy, Dominic Monaghan. He was in some of the Lord of the Rings films. He was on the TV show Lost. And he's acting a bit weird, a bit shifty. And warning bells should be apparent in this lady because he's asking questions that he should already know. And apparently there's supposed to be only 2 people in this facility. One guy's missing, one guy's this guy. And this guy's asking, oh, is this where they keep the shit? The nuclear shit? Yeah, it is. The way he behaves, he'll go around with a guitar. I'm like, wouldn't you be wondering why a guy who has been here so long doesn't know much about any of this shit? Like, she questions it, but she's not as... She just said, oh, this guy, he sucks at his job. But I'm like, no, there's something more to this. And of course there is. And there's a lot of talking, but it's talking about nothing. There's nothing significant or interesting or clever, or it's not like the dialogue has a bit of soul searching. What the Dominic, his character talks one point about how he got a headache and he smoked something, and someone said, oh, well, that's a part of the Berlin Wall. What? Man, I was in the hospital for 2 days, and then my sister helped me and, got me straight on the straight and narrow path. No more drugs. Nothing about this is engaging. And then on top of it, it looks fucking cheap. With a plot that goes nowhere. Abby, the girl, is a so-so actress. And people will say, oh, well, you just want a Michael Bay movie. Not Dan. Dan's a nice guy. But there could be some people who come across as they go, well, you just want a Michael Bay movie. You just sad that there's no punches and kicking and fighting and shooting. And I knew 10 minutes in what kind of film this would be. But you know what? There are other films that have done that better. You ever heard of a film called Moon? Yeah, Moon with Sam Rockwell, directed by Duncan Jones. Moon is a really good movie. Moon is a really good sci-fi movie because for a low budget, the production values were actually fairly impressive. And Sam Rockwell gave a wonderful performance, a strong performance. And the sets, and he had this robot which had a voice on it. The set looks great. There's nothing in it that looked so off-brand, off-kilter, cheap that it took me out of it. And it actually told a story with actual interesting twists and turns. You go, oh, I wonder where this is leading to. Oh, so that's what it's about. In other words, an engaging plot. If that's not a film with action and ba 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 ba, no. It's a movie with a good story, worth the shit, a good actor who given a performance worth the shit, production value that has an iota of shit given into competence. Here, it's backgrounds, outside backgrounds of this facility that looks like shit. The inside looks cheap. I mean, when she gets in, it looks like the fucking Aqueducts and Die Hard with a Vengeance. I'm waiting for John McClane to go by surfing on a fucking dump truck. And even like there's nothing in it. Like the cover, if I can find it, I don't even remember seeing that in the movie. Maybe it was and it slipped my mind. But it must not have been that fucking memorable. And yeah, I'll spoil the movie because there's not much movie to spoil. So spoilers. What happens is there's a lot more talking about nothing. And like halfway through the film, because thankfully only an hour and 20 some minutes, Abby goes outside. There's a body still alive, and it's Tom Sizemore. Yes, Tom Sizemore, who's been in... Yeah, I like him as an actor. He was in The Relic, very underrated creature feature film from the 90s. He was in Saving Private Ryan. He was in Enemy of the State. He's been in a lot of flicks. Good actor. Sadly, drugs messed up his career a bit. He's not given much to do. He doesn't appear till halfway through the film. And then when he wakes up, he's handcuffed because the one guy, Dominic, says, we don't know what's going on. And then when Dominic leaves, Tom Sizemore tells Abby, that's not the real guy. The guy who is here, I'm working this facility with, that's not him. He says that's who he is, and when I was outside, someone knocked me out. And then they're trying to play off like who's right or who's wrong. But yeah, Tom Sizemore plays a lot of villains, but he's also not a villain in The Relic. He's not a villain in Red Planet. And there's really no reason given to think this guy's in the wrong. Like the way Tom Sizemore plays it. I mean, Dominic is acting more shifty. He's acting more weird. He's acting like he doesn't know anything about this place. So she tries to get Tom Sizemore out. Tom and Dominic have a little fight. Tom leaves. Then there's another little fight. Abby's wondering what's going on. You're trying to find out that the red zone is expanded, meaning this clear-cut energy, these power plants, they fuck up. They fucked up, and they fucked up this town nearby, and it's a cover-up. And Dominic is not the he is an imposter. Dominic was part of the town and his family died, and he came here as revenge because he's going to blow up the place. What a big reveal. So then, Tom Sizemore, I guess he gets away? Because I think what happened, he got to the ship that was waiting for her and they left. I believe that's the case. Because we never see him die or anything. Dominic has a flare and jumps down to blow up the facility. Abby gets out. The only bit of her character the movie tries to do is every once in a blue moon, it's her as a little girl going towards a bed in the middle of a fucking warehouse. And I guess that's her mom who died? There's really nothing to it. The movie's just like, well, we know we don't have her as a character, so throw in like 4 moments where she remembers this. What the context of it is, I have no fucking clue. So then she gets there, as an Abby gets outside, she stops, she puts her visor, her helmet off, and either, I guess A, she knew she could not make it out of the explosion, or B, she's like, oh, I feel guilty working for people that contaminated this town, so then I'm just not going to try to run for it. And then she gets blown up with the facility. Then some credits roll, and then a team finds her dead body, her skeleton, find her like phone or whatever, put in these boxes. That look like the type of boxes you would put your comic books in, like the white boxes. And then the movie's over. This movie is a worthless piece of shit. I think Dan likes it. Teach their own. I don't know why, but teach their own. This movie's a worthless piece of shit. Abby, she was meh in her performance. There's really no story. I mean, why did this need to take place in the future? This literally could have been any type of company. Hey, we've got some power plants going on. Oh, yeah, shh. I mean, isn't that what the China Syndrome kind of did back in the day? With Jack Lemmon, Michael Douglas. You could do this modern time. There's no reason for it to take place in the future. No reason. I just try to be a message about... Try to be ecological terror. But there's no tension. There's no suspense. There's no budget. There's no money. One of your 3 main characters doesn't show up till halfway through the fucking film. The ending is a lame duck fuck of an ending. Because you're going... That's it? What took this motherfucker so long if he was just going to take a flare and jump into fucking... I guess maybe he didn't know how to turn it on in order to do it. When you just punch a... I don't know. If you try to blow it up, oh well, if it gets blown up while I'm pressing buttons, maybe it'll work. Wouldn't you think you'd at least fucking try? I don't know. If only 2 people run this place, it can't be that fucking hard to run the place. If there's only 2 people that are supposed to be here. Like, this whole facility is only supposed to be 2 people. Yeah, it shouldn't be that fucking hard to run it then. So what took you so long if you just hit a flare and jump in a fucking pit and go... And why did you try to have this lady... You try to have a... Can you even call it a backstory? It's just 3 scenes of... She's a little girl... She's in an empty warehouse. Why is it an empty warehouse? I don't fucking know. Why is her mom on a bed and there's fucking no one else around? I don't know. I sound like Elmer Fudd for a second. Around? There's no one around. No bed. That's just... What, her mom was just on a sick bed in the middle of a fucking warehouse? Or is that supposed to be... symbolism or whatever the hell. There's like nothing else to it. And the effects, like when the explosion happens, is pathetic effects. What is the point of this movie? What are you supposed to get out of it? It's not an interesting story. Moon, with St. Rockwell, was an interesting sci-fi story. There's a reason why that's sci-fi. Because we looked at the intricacies of the plot and what's going on with St. Rockwell's character, that fits in the sci-fi realm and why it's on the moon. And like, that's better writing, better direction, better production values, and that was a lower budget film. And you know what? There's barely a story here. There's not enough for an hour and 20 minutes. This maybe could work as an episode of like The Outer Limits or something. Maybe. Or Twilight Zone. Maybe. But then you still have to fix some stuff about it. I wouldn't be surprised if there are episodes that detail that. But a full-length film, no. It's boring. It's the opposite of engaging. With a shitty ending. A so-so lead. At best. That's being kind to her. Lackluster production values. And a point that you go, that's it? That's what this was about? You could guess that just the fact it's about nuclear power plant. Okay, nuclear, yeah. We know about nuclear power plants. Leaks. There's nothing more original or creative. Again, you didn't have to put this in a sci-fi background. There's no fucking point to that. And this movie was so fucking tough to watch because I was ready to fall the fuck asleep. No, not because there's no action and fights. Because you had a story that wasn't worth a pot to piss in. A bag of shit would be preferred over this fucking movie. And this fucking plot line that's boring as sin. The sin of sloth. Because you don't feel like sloth from the Goonies. Or even feel like sloth as in you fucking fell asleep. And people will call you lazy. I'm not lazy. It's just this movie put me in a fucking coma. ... A permanent sleep. And no, I'm not... The way I'm making it out, no, it's not the worst movie ever. But it's a lame duck fuck of a movie. I would never watch it again. There's no point to it. There's no reason to it. You don't get anything out of it. Unless I guess you're the biggest Dominic Monaghan... Whatever the hell his name is. Dominic Monaghan fan, I guess. If you're the most diehard fan of him. If you need to see every fucking movie Tom Sizemore is in, I guess. Fuck this movie. Up its fucking boring ass. Oh, it's too bored to get fucked. So fuck you, movie. So we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.